Hello, patrons, and welcome to the monthly exclusive Patreon video for the month of March 2018. Almost said 2017. I'm still kind of living in 2017. We went from 2017 to 2018 just like that. It happened so fast. You may notice that the camera's in a slightly different place. I have the camera on the GorillaPod, and the GorillaPod is clamped onto my monitor, which is a little weird, for me at least, to look up, but I thought it'd be kind of a nice little change, and also I thought it was a pretty nice angle, so I put it up there. And I can just read my notes straight off my computer. It's like a fancy webcam. Kind of. So we're going to be covering everything that happened in March, everything that's happening in April, and then some of the stuff in the future. And I got to tell you, I think, one of the biggest updates that I've ever given for any of these Patreon videos is coming at the end of this Patreon video. So stick around until the end, or jump straight to the end. It's fine. I think it's a pretty big deal because it's important to me, and we'll be talking about that at the end, so stick around. The first thing that I want to say is that you may know from the last Patreon video, Mal's dad, Mark, had heart surgery, and I was responding to people as they commented, but if you didn't comment, maybe you didn't see, the surgery went well. He is recovering. It's been a few weeks now, Mal?
Yes.
And he's now to the point where, like, he can get up and move around, and he's at I would call it the frustrated part, where he's
bored,
where he's recovered enough to feel like he should be able to do something, but he is not able to do something. And the other day, he was trying to work on something in the house, and he wasn't feeling up to doing it, but he tried to do it, and then he was like, why did I try to do this? So that's where he's at. But I just wanted to say thank you guys for, all the well wishes and prayers and thoughts, just because he's doing well. It's going to take some time to recover, but he's doing well, and hopefully in a few more weeks he'll be back up to working on the house, because that's what he really loves to do, is to work on the house. Anyway, wanted to throw that in there. So now let's talk about all of the things that happened in March. First thing, which I think is one of the most important things, is that Mario 64 ended. It was a ton of fun to do. That was a really fun Let's Play to do, and also it kind of cemented, in my mind at least, that we should do Sunshine. And the response at the end of Mario 64 asking about that seemed very positive, so I think it's very likely that next year we may cover Sunshine. Originally we were thinking about doing Odyssey, and then we were like, oh, let's do Mario 64 first, then maybe we'll do Odyssey. But because of the response of Mario 64 being so good, now I'm like, well, let's do Mario 64 and then do Sunshine, we'll worry about Odyssey later. So next year it's very likely that we'll do Sunshine. And that's one Mao has you've never touched that, have you? Like, not even...
Just the one time where we loaded it up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
We loaded it up at one point because Mao had an idea for a painting. Spoilers for possible future painting. Delfino Plaza is a really pretty location that Mao knows from the Smash Brothers series. So we loaded up the actual game to, try and frame stuff around, see if there would be a good idea for painting. Spoilers, it is, but it would be very complicated, so she hasn't had enough time to jump into something that in-depth. Other things that happened, Super Nintendo Classics ended, which, almost became like a staple of the channel because it was around for 21 weeks. That's kind of almost half a year, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun to do. I really enjoy doing that classic retro content, especially because, like, with Super Nintendo, I connect with it so much because that's my childhood. There will be more retro content in the future. Originally, I talked about this a few months ago on the Patreon videos. I was briefly considering doing, like, some sort of mirror to First 20. First 20's kind of evolved into indie titles, which I think is a good move for that series. I was thinking about doing, like, a Retro 20 series where it's just old content. At this point, based on where we are with workload and everything like that, I don't think that specifically is going to happen, but our primary idea for streaming is basically playing these games. So that will probably be where our retro stuff comes in, is streaming. So you have not seen the last regular retro content on Stephen Plays, but it may be coming at you in the form of a stream, and then on Stephen Plays as a VOD in the future. So don't worry, more classic stuff. Because Mario 64 ended, that means Finding Paradise began. I don't remember if I said this last month, but we recorded the entire thing. It's all pre-recorded. That was the way to do it because it's one of those games that you really don't want to be spoiled about anything. So we were able to play through the entire thing. Loved it. There's only like 4 or 5 episodes out right now. It has 12 episodes total, so it will be ending around the end of April, and it's very good. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. It's not going to be everyone's jam, but it's good. If you do choose to watch it, I really recommend that you watch To the Moon first, just because it's not a direct sequel, but there's enough in common. It's from the same creator that it's worth catching, because there's little bits and pieces in Finding Paradise that you wouldn't really pick up on if you hadn't played or watched To the Moon. And also A Bird Story, because A Bird Story is literally a direct prequel. Not required, actually. Finding Paradise is completely standalone, but A Bird Story is like an hour long, maybe 80 minutes. It's just really nice little bonus content for all of Finding Paradise, so definitely recommend it. Also, we hit 1,000 memorable moments, which was wild. And the only reason I even knew that was because there was a random comment that said, hey, your 1,000th memorable moment's coming up. What are you going to do for that? And I was like, it is? So I went over to the playlist, and I'm like, oh, wow, it is. So we took a few of the moments that had basically been sitting around collecting dust for one reason or another and just put them all into one big moment, and that was fun. It's wild to think that we've released 1,000 of these things. It's been a staple of the channel for a long, long time. The channel got started in 2011, and I think before the channel was a year old, we were doing memorable moments. So it was something I wanted to do from early on, and it, like I said, it has become a staple, and people know to expect it. And I think it's cool because whenever people come to the channel for the first time, they're seeing these little bits and pieces of content, so then they get in their mind when they're watching a series, oh, I should recommend something. So if something funny happens, we have like the entire community behind us recommending things, and it's just really cool that we got to 1,000. Other things that happened in March. I had mentioned last month that we asked for new games to play on Steven and Friends, and that some of you guys had reached out to developers in that tweet and been like, hey, developer, look at this. Well, some people did that for Clay Entertainment, the creators of Don't Starve. They gave us a ton of keys for Don't Starve Together, and we made a video of that in March. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's very funny. It's kind of sad because we all starve. Spoilers. But it was fun, and it was I think it was a good way to show off the game and show what things are really like for beginners, because it's a tough game. It's very difficult, but we had a lot of fun with it, and if you enjoyed that content, good news, because there are 2 more episodes coming back-to-back Saturdays in April. So, once again, if you enjoyed Don't Starve Together and you're like, that was great, I hope there's more, there is! There's even more coming at you in just like 2 or 3 weeks. And then, the big thing that happened in March, last month I said that we would be doing a sponsored video, and then I couldn't tell you anything about it, but I was super excited for it, and hopefully you guys saw it at this point. It was that Dan got a computer, and it was such a cool experience. Like, how everything came together was wild. If you haven't seen the video, the quick rundown is Dan has needed a computer for a long time. He's been doing all this work for us on Stephen Plays, but he's been doing it on an entry-level 2010 Mac Pro. And the Mac Pro is a great computer, but a 2010 model, that's 8 years old now, and it's really starting to show its age. Stuff that the MacBook Pro can do in minutes was taking Dan hours. Not to mention, we didn't really go into it in depth in the video, but there's some fundamental problems with like how the computer was doing things in the workflow, where like whenever you're making a video, you should be able to export it and it just makes the file. On Dan's computer, there was some problems where it couldn't do that, so he had to like do workarounds that ended up taking way longer than it had any right to. So it was bad, and Dan needed a new computer. He was looking at getting a computer, and I knew that he would save a lot of money if he just built a PC, because he doesn't use Final Cut. He uses Premiere, and Premiere is also on Windows. There's no reason he had to use a Mac. So I had reached out to Jeff, who is, you guys probably know Jeff. He's a mutual friend of Dan and myself, married to Chaz. And I said, he works for... We've never really talked about what he does, but he's the editor-in-chief for the Tech Report, which is a big PC hardware news site. It's been around online for like 10 or 15 years. It's been around forever. And I said, would you possibly have like some spare hardware, like a GPU or something, that Dan could get started on a build? And he said, maybe, but I think I have an idea. I think I could do one better. So he reached out to all of the companies and pulled everything together, got them all on board, and it was just super exciting to see. Like he wasn't 100% sure he could do everything. Basically, whenever we started talking about it, he said, I'm going to try and get AMD involved. He said, I'm going to reach out to AMD because AMD, I guess they work closely together. And he said, if we could get like the CPU from them, he said a lot of times AMD has got a wide variety of CPUs that they have, and the really top end ones they have a hard time properly talking about and displaying, because no one can actually use that power. You have to be doing professional stuff in order to take advantage of a 16-core CPU. But because Dan is doing stuff professionally, we're doing all these videos, Dan is someone who is actually a good a good fit for this. So he reached out to AMD with the idea. They got on board. Once they got on board, it was in Jeff's words, it was really easy. Everything kind of fell into place, because when you tell these other companies, you tell Western Digital, you tell Antec, whatever, that AMD is on board, they're supplying the CPU and the GPU, do you want in on this? They're like, yeah, we do. So it was great. Again, I had talked about it last month that, we don't really do sponsored videos, but this was a little different. And it was so fun to do. It was fun to have Chaz and Jeff here for a week. The downside is that, by them being here, we did kind of lose a week. The amount of work that we got done in that week was basically nothing. But we worked on this video, and, at the end of the day, Dan got a killer computer, and that increases his productivity, but also, since he's working for the channel and doing stuff for Stephen Plays, it increases the productivity of Stephen Plays. So, it's a good thing for Dan, and Dan gets a computer, but ultimately, Stephen Plays benefits from it as well. And I don't think we say anything in the video, but like, we don't get anything out of that, just so people are aware, and that's like full disclosure. We were not paid in any way, shape, or form to do that. We didn't get anything for that. It was just the company supplied the parts, and Dan got a computer. And it's someone had written that it was the feel-good video of the year, and I was like, yeah, and it is. It's great. And what's cool is that it's such a good amount of goodwill for these companies. I really hope they choose to do that kind of thing more often, because a lot of times what happens is, these parts just get sent to people like Jeff, people in the hardware industry, for benchmarking, and that's great, but this sort of video clearly has a lot of potential to make these companies look really good. So I hope they choose to do stuff like that in the future. Yeah. Anyway, and if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's not very long, and we put a lot of time and effort into it. Jeff put a ton of time and effort. Just so you guys know, Jeff's the one that cut that video. If you watch it on Stephen Plays, I have like a 2.5 minute intro that I put together. Otherwise, the rest of that video is Jeff did that. And he's not an editor. Like, that was one of his first editing projects. He put a ton of time into it. He also did a lot of the cinematography. He did all of the really beautiful like shots of the parts and everything. So he put a lot of effort into that. And if you haven't seen it, you really owe it to yourself to go catch it. Okay, I know I rambled about that a lot, especially if you guys have already seen it, but that was an entire week of my March, so it was a big portion of this month, so that's why it's such a big deal on here. Let's talk about what's happening in April. So the first thing I want to say is everything is scheduled. everything. Right now, this second, videos on Stephen Plays are completely scheduled. Not just edited, not just uploaded. I mean, scheduled. Everything is done, going to come out at the right time. Everything is set, got the correct cards, end screens, etc. Through the 28th of April, which is crazy. Basically the entire month. And I just wanted to, give ourselves a hand for one, because it was a lot of hard work on our part, but also for Dan. Which again, him getting this really nice computer came at a really good time, because we basically had to do an entire month's worth of content in, just a few weeks, while also doing the content for those weeks. So it's been nuts around here. The amount of stuff that we've had to do to make this trip a reality has been wild. But all of the stuff for April is scheduled. It's done, and it feels really good. So yeah, that's nice. Oh, also, I always say at the beginning of these videos that, you're supposed to be getting this April 2nd. But you're supposed to be getting this April 2nd. You're going to get it probably April 3rd by a little bit, and I apologize for that, but it's coming. The big thing that's happening in April...
I can't get these out.
People know you live here, so it's okay. Mal's like in the background trying to very quietly open a pack of Post-its. You're allowed. It's okay. Things that are happening in April. Obviously, PAX East. Right now it's the 2nd. We're going to get a full night's rest. No worries there. We are driving, and we can just drive at any time tomorrow, so it's not like we have to leave at a certain time. We actually don't even have a hotel reservation for tomorrow. We're just going to drive, and then whenever we get to the point where we're like, okay, we want to stop soon, then we'll get a hotel and stop for the night. And then that's Tuesday. So Wednesday we're driving to Boston. So we are going to be at PAX East. And for those who are wondering, because I'm sure you are, the meetup is going to be Saturday. What day is that? Saturday is the 7th. Saturday, April 7th at 12 p.m., that's noon, we are going to be doing a meetup right outside the convention. There's going to be a video for that on Stephen Vlog and Stephen Plays soon.
It's northeast side of the building.
Northeast side of the building. The way I see it, it's like just right outside.
The main doors take a left, under the trees.
At noon, walk around the building, and you'll find us. But we're going to be doing a meetup. Mal will be there, myself will be there, Josh, Tyler, Carlos, a.k.a. Insane in the Rain Music, Emil, Jugger Conroy, Masaya Nella, Tom Fox, Tim. I messaged Tim, but he hasn't gotten back with me, but he's almost always there, so Tim will probably be there too. So we got a big group that'll be there. It'll be a lot of fun. So if you are there at PAX, please do consider walking outside Saturday at noon and walking around the building and finding us, because it'd just be a fun time, chance to meet everybody. If you want people to take photos or sign stuff, etc. And we'll also do the ending for the vlog. It'll be fun. Other things. If you can't make the meetup, or if you're not going to be in town that day or whatever, or if you just want to see us more, we're also going to be at the Runaway Guys panel, which is Friday at 5. I recommend, from past experiences with this panel, arriving early. You will probably want to know, I don't remember what room it's in, but find out what room it's in and kind of like walk by like 2 hours before and just double check that people aren't already lining up, because the Runaway Guys show fills up so fast, and you want to make sure that you're in there, because it's a super fun time. But Mal and myself will be there, and after it lets out, they usually do some sort of signing, and we're not a part of the signing, but we'll be in the room or we'll be nearby, so you'll be able to chat with us. And then we're also going to be at the Versus panel, which is Saturday at 7:30 p.m. So you might see us Saturday at noon for the meetup, and then later that evening, Josh and Tyler are putting on a panel in which they do not participate. It's great. They're both bad at video games. They self-admitted bad at video games. So they actually have two other people coming in to race at Super Mario 64. They're going to be doing a Super Mario 64 16-star run. and speedrunning it. And there's going to be like a wheel that interacts with them and causes them to do stupid stuff and have problems. And the other fun thing is that Mal and I are apparently panelists for this. So we'll be there, like, on stage or nearby, giving out prizes. I don't know. It'll be fun. So come, make sure you come to that Saturday at 7:30. Now, the fun stuff that's just for you guys. We want to do a Patreon luncheon. So if you are going to be attending PAX East, and you are going to be there Sunday afternoon, I have a separate post on Patreon. It should be up now, so go look at it. And I just need people to let me know if you are going to be there and if you're going to be interested in going. Again, Sunday afternoon, which is April 8th. April 8th afternoon. If you are interested in meeting up for a special Patreon lunch, it would be with Mal and myself. I don't know if Josh and Tyler might also be there if they have nothing else going on. But if you guys are interested in that, go over to that other Patreon post and say, hey, that sounds awesome. I would love to go. Count me in. We're trying to get a head count because depending on how many of you guys are there and are interested, that will affect where we go. Because if it's just a few of us, we could get away with going to like a smaller place that's near the convention center. If there's a few more of you guys, we'll probably move it to one of the malls, which is not too far from the convention center, and I don't mind going there. I just want to know ahead of time, how many of you are interested in doing that. Because right now I have no idea exactly how many of you will be at PAX, so if you're going, you're interested, let me know. Yeah, so that's all of the PAX stuff. Onward to the road trip. After we leave PAX, we talked about last month, we're going to be going on this very long road trip, going up to Maine, going through all these New England states, seeing all sorts of cool stuff. If you left suggestions for things to see, eat, game stores, etc., if you left suggestions last month, you do not have to leave them again. If you have new suggestions, or if you didn't leave suggestions, you can leave them on this video. I'm kind of compiling all that stuff into like a big list, like based on city. So if you're like, oh, in this city there's a thing, I'm making a big list so when we're on the road, we know when we get into a city, like, oh, there's these things to see, there's these things to eat, there's these game stores, etc. So if you already gave us information, that's fine. If you want to give us more information, that's totally okay too. I'm compiling it all. It's gonna be great. And then finally, what's happening in April? It's technically May. It's like May 1st. And it will I'm not sure, but it will probably contain the Patreon producers list from April in the video, but we're going to be doing mini golf. We recorded a mini golf when Chaz and Jeff were here. It's a fun time. It's very good. That's going to be coming out, replacing Finding Paradise. And because it's right on like where April becomes May, it's kind of tricky because the Patreon producers list doesn't get fully updated until like May 3rd. So we'll probably use the one from April, and then when mini golf ends, it'll go to Kirby, and Kirby will have May's Patreon producer list. Just throwing that out there now, so if you're a producer and you don't join until May, and then May's mini golf comes out and it's the ones from April and you're confused why your name's not in it, then you at least have some explanation. I apologize if that's confusing. Anyway, so now what's happening in the future? Like I said, Kirby is going to be following up Mini Golf. Mini Golf's just going to be 2 episodes. Have not played Star Allies. We have it. It's somewhere over here, somewhere. We have it on the shelf. We just haven't played it yet. We're going to be going into it blind. The reviews that have come out have said it's very good, and I'm looking forward to it because there's a lot of abilities and stuff that I just haven't played like a proper Kirby game in a while, so it's going to be a fun time. Fallout, since I did all this pre-recording, I can tell you, hopefully this doesn't count as a spoiler, Fallout, I did not get to Nuka World, so Nuka World won't be happening until May. There was enough stuff still left to do in April that I didn't get to Nuka World, so I just figured I'd throw that in there, because, if you're excited about me playing Nuka World, that's going to be happening in May, probably. Another thing, this is a cool idea. I'm going to preface this by saying it is still an idea. It is extremely likely. Mal and I have talked about this a bit. So it's extremely likely, but still technically an idea. How do I even say this? A live stream that is in the mornings We're not sure exactly when. We're thinking probably around like 9 a.m. Eastern. It would go for about 30 minutes, and it would be called Breakfast Stream, because it would be basically an early morning stream. Mal and I would be, just having some breakfast and just chatting. It would be IRL on Twitch or social eating, and it would be a really cool way to start the day, and just chat about game news or this, that, or the other. It's an idea that we're throwing around, because things have been a little crazy now, but right before things got crazy, we were doing a really good job of staying on the schedule, and we think that it's something that we could do. We think it's something that's very unique, could be very fun. So let us know your thoughts on that. Obviously, that would not be our primary streaming efforts. We at some point want to do like a proper weeknight or weekend night. You know what I mean? Some night playing games. That's what we want to do. But we thought the breakfast stream could be a fun starter to that before we get into the meat and potatoes of video games. And it's a unique idea. So if you like the idea, let us know. We're not sure of the start time, but it would be short. It'd be like 30 minutes. We don't know how many days a week we would do it. But we thought it would be something fun to try. And just looking for feedback on that. Now, something that's also extremely likely is Magic Arena, which is the follow-up game from Wizards. It's Magic the Gathering. It's what's replacing Magic Duels. We did a Let's Play on Magic Duels and all the DLC. Magic Arena finally got rid of its NDA. It's out of beta, or it's either still in beta, but it got rid of the NDA. You can stream it now. So there's a really high possibility that will come back to the channel, not as a Let's Play, but as a stream. It might be like a weekly stream. We just take the VOD, put it on Stephen Plays. It takes just as much time to create a Let's Play of that as it would to stream it. Might be better to just stream a match or two once a week and then move that over to Stephen Plays as a VOD. So that's both. It's like weird because I'm now very seriously talking about streaming stuff, but yeah, there's two streaming ideas. Neither of them are streaming these games, but that's a big effort, and I'm trying to ease myself into this. So we're starting with Eggs and Magic the Gathering. So let us know your thoughts on that. Second to last thing, don't forget about the charity event that is in early May, where it's the Runaway Guys Coliseum. Hi, it's Mal. Mal will be there. If you guys haven't seen the, are you printing a thing?
Yeah.
It's loud.
Sorry.
Anyway, there's a printer. If you haven't seen the thing, there's May 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's going to be hosted on Proton John's Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/ProtonJohn. Huge 3-day-long charity event.
Huge lineup.
Yeah, huge lineup. Emil, Tim, John, Luca Jin, Massey, Tom Fox, Marilyn, myself, Mal, Josh Jepson, Attacking Toucans. It's crazy the amount of people that we're going to have. And the other night we had a big meeting about what games and stuff we're going to play, and it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a really good time. Me and John will very likely be doing a competition for Kirby's Dream Course, which I'm excited about. Obviously, there's going to be Mario Party. There's going to be Mario Kart. There's some weird things thrown in there as well. So
They said maybe Jackbox.
Yeah, Jackbox. I pushed for D&D. I don't know if they'll do it.
Well, you mentioned it, and Emil and
Massey were so excited. They were
Tim
like,
and John
please.
kind of were like, okay, yeah, that'd be fun.
So no guarantees, but it was something that was at least thrown out there. So we'll see what happens, but that's all happening in early May. And now, for the big announcement that I will wait until the printer is done to announce. Is it done?
It's done.
Okay. Big update. You can tell it's a big deal because I'm doing this. I have an idea that I have given a lot of thought, and I would not make it into a big deal, and I would not bring it to you guys unless I thought that it was a sincerely good idea worth highly considering.
And you've run it past people too.
I've run it past a lot of people already. I just have not brought it to anyone in the community. I have not posted it obviously online. I haven't posted it to you guys. I haven't said anything about it on the Discord or anything. This is completely new information. I am highly considering breaking the vlogs into 2 timelines, which is probably already like, what's happening? There would be an old timeline and a new timeline, and I'm thinking about doing it as early as May. Let me quickly explain what that means. What that means is that in May, starting in May probably, you would start getting vlogs from May. Vlogs would be up to date. Whenever May comes around, May 1st, I shoot the vlog. May 2nd, you get May 1st vlog. As if it was caught up. And what would happen is I would continue to keep vlogs up to date. You would be getting vlogs in May. And when vlogs were caught up and Let's Plays were good and everything was set and I had that extra time, it would go into the old timeline. These old videos that are missing from, basically the start of this year, so like 2018, the first 4 months of 2018, they would not be thrown away. We still have them. I still want to release them. They are still good. But they would just come out alongside of this other timeline. Now you might be saying, why? Well, for one, vlogs have been behind for a long time. You guys might be aware of this. And this would solve 2 problems. The first problem is channel growth. You guys may not be aware, Stephen Vlog has not grown in any considerable way in like 2 years. And it's probably because the channel has not been regularly up to date in like 2 years. The other reason, which is my personal reason, and which is why this is so important for me, is mental health. It's something I do not talk about very often, but it is depressing. An extreme amount of depression to have these videos be so far behind all the time. Just to read things like, it's still not up to date, it's still whatever. Even for me myself, like going and getting ready to cut the next video and being like, this is for the Christmas season. Like, it gets to you in big ways, especially after this amount of time. Vlogs have been behind in a significant way for like 18 months at least. And it's affecting me in a personal way. So my goal would be to reduce that, and I believe very sincerely that I could do that. Now, vlogs are really rolling out recently. That had to stop in order to prepare all of this content, so don't let this recent preparation deter you from thinking that we could keep up with it, because I believe that we could. The secret would be to start it whenever we could actually keep up with it. So that's why we didn't start it in April.
Yeah.
Because we're going on a trip, and that would be crazy. We should not do that. But in May, it's something that we could, I think, conceivably do. And if we don't feel confident in May, then we would start it in middle May or June, etc. Now, you probably have a lot of questions, because this does bring up some ideas, some scenarios. You might be saying, won't that be confusing? The answer to that is yes. Because what would happen is there would be a vlog coming out and be like, May 2nd, May 3rd, February 2nd. And people that are not familiar with what's going on might be like, what? But the thing is, that's only relevant short term. Eventually, that won't matter. Because when that old timeline is fully caught up, it disappears. And when people go to take the journey, they're going to be watching it through playlists. So they're going to be going through and watching things in order. So basically, when the old timeline is gone, it'll be as if this never happened, which is great. In fact, the only mention we would even have of it is the first new vlog that comes out, because it would scare people, and we would explain what's happening. Otherwise, it would just be vlogs, because all the old ones are, they're done. So yeah, that's the first thing. Your next question is probably, what happens to mail? Mail would be released in order. And the way I envision this happening is, whatever the middle of the month is, because we always release mail with the 15th of the month, whatever month it is, you just get the next mail. That makes the most sense to me. So if May 15th comes out, then you get February mail. And then February 15th comes out, you get March mail. And then June 15th comes out, you get April mail. You know, like no matter you're not getting the mail out of order. You're still getting it in order, just whenever a mail video would normally appear. The big thing that this would mess with is Q&As. Q&As, they come out at the end of the month or between months, if you want to think about it like that. And the best way I think to approach that would be to just skip all of them on the old timeline. Old timeline would just be vlogs and mail, and then Q&As would just happen for the new timeline. In fact, in order to make things a little easier on ourselves, we may want to consider just doing seasonal Q&As for 2018. Basically just releasing like a spring Q&A, and then a summer Q&A, something like that. Just because it would be kind of confusing if we went from December 2017 to, May or June 2018. And it might be less confusing if we instead was like, here's spring Q&A. So that might be a little better, and then it gives us a little less work in 2018. And the cool thing is Q&As are Q&As. We're going to take questions from the last one. We're going to get questions from the current one. So that doesn't really change much. The priority in doing this, bar none, would be keeping the new timeline updated. This would solve a lot of problems for me because vlogs would be current again, and the two good things is that my brain will be like, they're current, you can breathe, you're not dying. And then the other good thing is that when people come to the channel, they see new videos. They're like, oh, that's what Steven did yesterday, not, I wonder how Christmas is going to be. So I think that that'll help the channel grow as well, because again, Steven Vlog hasn't grown significantly in like 2 years. So I think that would check a lot of boxes. Obviously, this is a big change, and there may be some other things that I haven't considered. One thing that's kind of a minor thing, but would still feel a little weird, is like, if we jump to a new timeline before we get to day 3000, that might be a little strange. In the grand scheme of things, probably not that weird, but there might be little things I haven't thought of. The one thing I'd really like to do is I really want to make sure all the 2017 stuff is out first. That's priority. Get 2017 out, get fan favorites out, make sure there's nothing left from 2017, except for mail. Mail will still be coming out. But make sure all 2017 is out, and then introduce this idea of there's two timelines now. That's my idea, and that's a lot to drop on you guys, but again, this is probably one of the biggest updates, biggest ideas that I've had for this in a long time, and I think that this would solve a lot of problems for me. I think it would help the channel grow again, like it used to do.
Director Chaz thought it was good, right?
Chaz thought it was a good idea. I've run it by a lot of our friends. I've run it by my parents, and my dad. Both my parents really love watching the vlogs, and my dad's always like, when are you gonna have a new vlog out? When are you gonna have a new vlog out? And I asked my mom about it, and she's like, that's a really good idea. She said, because I know how much it bothers you when vlogs are behind, which is basically all the time. So the big thing here would be like, what happens if the new timeline gets behind? For one, that would be bad. But I'm going to be working very hard to make sure that doesn't happen. The bad thing is, like, this trip has been a big deal, and there's been a lot of preparation go into this. But once this is over, things for the rest of the year should be a lot more tolerable. And we've already shown that when we have the time available to us, we can really crank out vlogs. If we only have to do a vlog a day to stay current, we can still dump a lot of time into getting that old timeline caught back up. I personally think that this is a great idea. I would really love your input. I'd love especially your input if there's maybe something I haven't considered, or if you just have a question how you think I think something should work. Hopefully Sagan agrees that it's a good idea too. Anyway, that's it. That's the entire thing. That's all of this video. I know we're ending on a big thing, but there's a lot to talk about. Don't forget that if you want to be a part of that Patreon luncheon, to go to the other Patreon post and say that you want to be there, because we want to try and get a head count and figure out where it is we want to do this thing. And otherwise, I think that's it. Pretty sure. I don't think we have anything else to mention.
Sagan won't be there.
Yeah, Sagan will not be at the meetup, unfortunately. But he'll be there in spirit. Right, buddy? Right. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching. This is a very long Patreon video, but there was a lot to talk about. As always, thank you guys so much for supporting us and helping make everything we do a reality. We are working very hard to try and continue to make everybody happy and smile and entertained. And I'm really hoping that that you guys have a lot of good feedback and input about this month, about this last idea specifically, because I think potentially it could be very good for the channel, but also for me. That's the hope. Also, how cool would it be for Stephen Falk to be current again? That'd be kind of neat. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, leave all your questions, comments, etc. here on Patreon. I'll get back to them when I can. Just keep in mind that tomorrow I am driving, so I'll probably be a little slow getting to all of it over the next week since we'll be at PAX, but I will do my best to get back to you guys as fast as possible. Thank you again, and I'll see. Am I doing the hand thing?
You are.
Thank you again. I'll see some of you at PAX, and I'll see you guys next month for another Patreon video.